I would like to start with a love story. It lasted for 6 months. My brother and sister in Lord, James and Jenny, they pick up my husband Steve and I every 3 weeks to a scenic spot. Then lasted for 6 months. Guess, do you know why they did so? Because at that time, I was in chemotherapy. And the chemotherapy is a 3 week cycle. So they just came and pick us to some scenic spots, do nothing, just stay there for 1 or 2 days. So I feel so encouraged. James and Jenny just provide great company and love, which I will never forget.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Overtones Podcast. I'm Christy. I'm here today with my co-hosts LaRae and Joe.
Hi guys.
Hello there. Our goal on the Overtones Podcast is to investigate and celebrate the diverse unity of the Christian church around the world.
That's right. We speak to academics, church workers and lay people from across the global church in order to highlight lesser heard voices and grow in love for our brothers and sisters around the world.
Today, we're delighted to have with us on the podcast Ida who's here to tell us about her experience dealing with cancer. Hello, Ida.
Hi.
Could you please tell us a little bit about yourself first, like where you live and what you do, etc.?
Sure. I'm Ida. I was baptized at 18.
Oh, wow.
I was born and grew up in Taiwan. However, I was relocated to Shanghai by a multinational company. I went there with my husband. It's in 2002. And my husband and I live in Shanghai since then. I'm still a career woman working as a consultant in American Management Association, but I commute a lot between Taiwan and Shanghai because my family are in Taiwan.
You said you were baptized at 18. Were you raised in a Christian family, or did you learn about Jesus later in life?
I learn about Jesus later, in like 17.
Okay.
And then after 1 year, I got baptized.
Wonderful.
Ida, you mentioned in the beginning story that you were having chemotherapy. Has health ever been a problem before you were diagnosed with cancer, or was it a surprise?
It's not only a surprise, it's a shock.
Okay.
Because I think I'm a very healthy person. I sleep well, eat diverse nutrition and take care of myself, do exercise. And most important, I laugh a lot. So most people say I'm a very optimistic person. I never thought I will be a cancer patient.
Wow.
That's a surprise, isn't it? Because I feel like, isn't it the case that people say laughter is the best medicine?
Yeah. So that must have been really hard to deal with initially. Can you tell us more about what it was like getting that diagnosis?
Yeah, I think just like most people, it's a shock. When I read the diagnostic report, then I went through all the emotional stage from denial. It's impossible. Why me? Thanks to Lord, it's comparatively short for me to accept and to get back to the normal life. What I mean the normal life is that I accept I'm a cancer patient. I have to take all the treatments.
Wow.
So there is a big impact to my life because I'm a consultant. So I have a lot of customers. I arrange a lot of meetings with them. But at that time, I have to stop all my work. I stay most of my time at home and did nothing. But I never complain because I know it would happen to anyone as it's a world of sin. So at that period, I just get closer to my Lord because I think this is the only way I can went through all the difficulty.
I just went to the hospital yesterday, actually, to do a just regular health checkup. And whilst I was waiting, to be called to go in, and then all the kind of scenarios sort of went through my mind. What if I got a bad diagnosis? It must have been really quite scary, Ida. I think getting
Yes.
a report like that when you were not really expecting that. What was it like as a Christian? How did you sort of wrestle with these feelings and wrestle with the Lord? Because you were already a Christian then.
I heard a lot of people talk about their relation with the Lord when they are in those hardship. So when I was in that kind of situation, I talk a lot to the Lord to ask questions, just like many people. Why me? I'm a very good person. I'm a very loyal servant, something like that. But I think I'm very clear, just as I mentioned before, it's a world of sin. We will go through all the difficult, just like other people. So gradually, after I talk a lot to the Lord, then I have to admit, sometimes I just feel depressed and the fear still in my mind. So let me think of a very famous psalm. Say, you set the table in the presence of my enemy, the Psalm 23. Cancer is the enemy. So I know I have to fight with the Lord's help. So whenever I think of it, then I think, okay, I got the strength from the Lord. I can just fight or eat and drink before the disease or before the cancer. But it's difficult going through that kind of emotion change. Not easy. I still feel very, emotional, depressed, and frustrated from time to time in the first year. It's gradually, maybe it's kind of faith increase, or I know the Lord better, so I can better manage my emotion at that moment, beginning from the second year.
Can you very quickly sort of go over the timeline? Could you tell us a little bit about sort of when you first got diagnosed with cancer and the type of cancer and the report that you received and how many years it has been?
Yeah, it happened actually in October 2018 when I was in Taiwan. I planned something very happy because after I leave Taiwan, I will go to China for a trip with Christy's parents.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
is that right? Actually, I can't remember. I
Anyway,
see.
I did a check, and the doctor said, okay, you had better stay and wait for the result. So I stayed like 1 week. Of course, the result came out, and they say, okay, it's not a good news. So I cancel traveling plan. Then, 1 week later, the bigger hospital diagnosed with the cancer. It's sure. Then I have a chance to get back to Shanghai. To arrange something and to arrange my work and then get back to Taiwan. So in later October, I have the operation. After the operation, I start chemotherapy. After the chemotherapy, I start 25 radiotherapy.
Wow.
So it totally take my around 9 months for the whole treatment. Then after the treatment, I get back to Shanghai to live my normal life because I think it's very important to get back to normal. So in 2019, July, I got back to Shanghai, continue to work. Of course, the loading is less, and then continue serve my sister brothers in the church. So I would say still sometimes I feel emotional with no reason. You just, maybe the weather is not good. You just feel
Oh.
depressed. Or whenever I have a physical problem, I would say, oh, it's bad. Okay.
Oh,
Or,
yes.
this kind of thing, like a nightmare in my mind.
Mm.
And it takes around 1 year. Okay. Then beginning from the second year, it's better, much better, because I think I start with the normal life and connect all the social relationship And most important, I start to take care of those sisters who get cancer. Yeah, I
Oh,
can accompany them to go through all the hardship I went through before.
that's an amazing ministry. Now that you've been through it yourself, you know what other people are going through and can help them through that. Were you
Yeah.
declared cancer-free?
No doctor will say you are cancer-free.
Okay.
But
I see.
after 5 years, they say, okay, the chance or the percentage for recurrence will be much lower.
Okay.
Okay.
That must have been such an isolating experience for you going through all that treatment away from your home church. And is that when the story fits in that you told us at the start, where your brother and sister-in-law were there with you?
Yes, I would say all my brothers and sister, okay, they provide their company or provide their resource, or they just come to talk and make some jokes to make me, happy. So I think it's a brace for me to have those brothers and sisters. And I
Wonderful.
remember one sister in Shanghai told me, Ida, no matter which church or youth group I went to Shanghai, I heard they pray for you.
Wow.
It's amazing because,
Wow.
I serve a lot of young people in Shanghai. Okay, they spread in different church. I don't know who told them the news, but at least the sister, not only one sister, a lot of sister and brother told me whenever they went to different youth group, they heard Ida's name. So
Oh,
That's amazing.
thanks a
beautiful.
lot. Yeah.
I guess it shows that you don't always have to have experienced exactly the same thing to be able to help. Because you mentioned that now you have this ministry of supporting other sisters who have cancer. But when you were going through cancer, I'm sure not everybody in the church who encouraged you, who made you laugh or helped you or prayed for you, not everyone would have gone through cancer themselves, but they were still able to encourage you and support you in your difficulty without knowing exactly what it felt like, whether by prayer or laughter and just company. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. I note down a lot of jokes they told me, and now I
Oh.
used it to encourage or to talk to other sisters who need it.
That's
Mm.
amazing.
Ida, you talked about lots of different ways that you were encouraged and supported and prayed for during your time whilst fighting cancer. What would you say to yourself now that you've gone through it?
Wow, great question. Oh, I will tell Ida, it's part of life. Okay, accept it because your Lord know everything happened to you. And when go through all those, paths, you will know yourself and your Lord better.
Would I be right in saying that it's kind of like recognize who you are, who God is, and be grateful and thankful to Him?
Yes, it's true. I feel grateful that the Lord is with me, no matter in which kind of situation. When I'm happy, when I'm sad, He knows.
I think it's so easy to forget that and forget all the different small ways and big ways that we can be thankful to the Lord. I know that even within my own small like injuries or health problems, it's so easy to complain, easy to just forget all the things that you can be grateful for and you should be grateful for to the Lord. So I think that's great advice, Ida.
I will also advise that I have a good habit, I will say. Every day before I go to bed, I will write down a note. One thing I feel grateful today, and to
Oh,
share with some sisters who are in a very bad situation. I also encourage them to write to me one thing they feel grateful every day. So with one sister in Japan, we lasted this kind of everyday WeChat grateful item
Oh.
for 3 years already.
Wow.
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 I would like to share
Yeah.
advice to people who suffering from cancer now. I
I'll just-
developed a ABCD rule. I think that will be helpful. A means accept because we need to accept all our emotion. So when you want to cry, just cry. You don't want to talk, just keep silent. So know your own emotion and no need to suppress them. Don't feel guilty that, oh, I'm so emotional. Don't feel guilty. Just accept the emotion and then you can adjust it. So this is A. B means build a team. It's a kind of social system. The team could be 3 to 4 people. They can be your family or your good friend. In my case, there's 2 couple, James and Jenny. They can talk and they can share all my emotions. And that's so important. The team member understand you and can support you when you need it. The most important thing is that they can support your caregiver. My husband who take care of me, but I mean nobody take care of him. So
Oh,
it's
yes.
very hard for him to take care of a wife who is so weak. So I think he also need encourage and help, and those team member can do this. C means connect. I will encourage people to connect to our daily role. Could be mother, wife, church member, or choir member. Connect to those roles. That's important. And then life as usual. And even though those people may not know you are a cancer patient, but we have to say we are not a victim. Okay? We are a person just with cancer. Okay, so connect to your role, get back to your normal life, and that's important. It will also build up your resilience of capability. Number 4 is D, develop a new life from 4 areas: physical, social, and the mental and the spiritual. Physical means that sleep well, eat, and social means I make good friends and connect to people. Mental means read some good book, okay, or travel as you like, do something like you feel good. And spiritual, of course, read Bible, know your God. So I think from 4 areas to develop a new life. In Psalm 90 also say, teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. So we need the wisdom for our new life. That's the ABCD rule I would like to share with those who are suffering cancer now.
Thank you. That's perfect. I love how practical that was. It was very memorable. Would you have any advice, Ida, for people who are trying to support brothers or sisters that are going through cancer? So you've said for those who are going through it themselves, to try and focus on gratitude and who the Lord is. Any pieces of advice for those of us who might be trying to help those who are going through cancer?
I think one thing I would say, don't do that first, okay?
Okay, yes.
Okay, don't blame and don't challenge. You know, some sisters want to show their chaos and just say, Ida, I just told you, don't work so hard, right? And don't stay up, or you should work more. I mean, serve more in the church, then you will get some more praise, something like that. I think at the moment, I know, I mean, her good intention, but it hurts. It means that
Yes.
I did something wrong. Okay. So what we should do, I think, to people who are in hardship or in difficult, any kind of difficult, I think show your empathy. Just give me a hug, give her a hug, or show your empathy. Don't talk too much. Listen. And pray or accompany if you can. I think the other important things is provide a resource. If you have any advice, or if people who lose job, help them how to do the resume preparation, something like it's kind of resource people may need. In my case, people like Christy's parents, they are so generous, provide me a condo, very big condo, so that I can live there. And that's very near to my hospital. And a lot of friends prepare tasty food. People in chemotherapy could not eat. And those sisters just prepare different kind of food every day for me.
Wow.
And let alone a lot of people pray for me day and night. I think that we can do. Very simple thing.
That's really
That's
helpful.
so
Thank
helpful. I think very often we think mindset of prosperity gospel is very far away from us because our churches are not preaching prosperity gospel, but very often that is mindset. Like we sort of get good things when we do good things. If you're godly enough, then nothing bad will happen to us. And then in reverse, if something bad happened to you, something that seems to be a form of suffering happens to you, it must be because of something that you've done to cause you hardship, which is not really biblical. And we don't always notice it. So then if someone got into some trouble, then we often say, oh, if you did this, nothing of this sort would have happened. If you would have just love God a bit more, if you would just be a bit more diligent in prayer, if you would just have had a healthier lifestyle. And it is so easy to get ourselves caught into that because we're not perfect. We can always point to things that we've not done perfectly and then think, what if it's this? So it could be really enslaving when we wanted to give advice that's sort of along those lines.
That's why I say don't talk too much. Okay,
Yes.
don't give your advice because you never know. So just listen. Yeah.
And to sort of offer practical help, that's also such a good reminder as well, because we all, really appreciate hospitality, driving you around, or company. That's really helpful advice for us and hopefully for our listeners as well. Maybe let's maybe talk a little bit more about the kind of the role of the church for you, throughout this time of treatment and recovery. You mentioned that there are people who might be saying things that are particularly helpful. Did you feel comfortable at the time sharing your health struggles and difficulties with those people around you at church? Or was it quite a difficult thing to do?
In my own experience, sharing this kind of thing need courage. Why I say so? Because when I'm very healthy, I lead those fellowship group, I have observation that people tend not to disclose their bad part. I mean, their hardship, their difficult. But for good things, they are willing to share. I think one of the reasons is that they don't want to bother others. But we are told in the Bible, we have to love each other. So when I was in that situation, I think I need to talk to my church, my fellowship. But then the first response I've been thinking in my mind is, don't bother others. Okay? But then I think, okay, no, I believe they love me and they want to do something for me. So I share in my church, in my choir group, so that people can pray and they can provide their help. They are very happy. So I think we need to open the door and we need to allow people who can help us show that we love together. And I mean, when you help each other, that will benefit both. So at that time, I just be courageous to share my case in different groups. And I also encourage my fellowship member after that, say, don't just say good news to us.
Yes.
Please let us be your true sister and brothers to share your burden, to do what we can to give you some help. Then people can talk about their hardship openly. And I think that's the thing I learned from my own case.
Thank you for saying that, Ida. That's so helpful that you just acknowledge it is a very courageous thing to share when we're going through hardship. We can feel so vulnerable, and I think our society so often tells us that we shouldn't be weak, we shouldn't look like we don't have it all together. We should be these kind of independent, autonomous beings that don't ever need help. And it's just not realistic in any way, is it?
Yeah.
No, you're right. I think one of the most popular traits, I think, today is being chill. But I think the idea of being chill as a virtue is not particularly biblical, is it? You know, if you're
No.
too intense, if you're too sort of emotionally troubled, that's uncool. But I think at church, we should acknowledge that we all have those emotional vulnerability, and being chill isn't the answer.
So, Ida, kind of looking back through your experience of battling cancer, have people in your church community always been supportive? Or if you don't mind sharing, were there ever times where maybe your Christian friends let you down? I know Christians are not perfect. We often
Mhm.
make mistakes, but it's helpful to learn from them. Is there anything along those lines you'd like to share?
I think very few, but just as I mentioned just now, people with good intention but say something wrong. Okay, they
Yes.
challenge me. Say it means that I did something wrong, so that I got cancer. Yeah,
Yes.
I experienced one or two sisters. Now they are very enthusiastic, and they really want to help. So they just ask question, did you do that? Did you do this so that you got the bad result? I think that's not good.
Yes. Sounds a little bit too much like Job's friends in the Bible.
Mm.
But I don't blame them because I know their good intention. They just
Sure.
don't know how to express or how to comfort
Yeah.
people.
And Ida, I think as we celebrate the fact that you have gone through that very challenging period of treatment, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and now we have passed that 5-year mark, what would you say is the major differences in the way you live your life?
For me, the biggest change is that, let me say a verse in the Bible, say, who comfort us in all our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God. Now it's become my mission to comfort other sister who got the breast cancer. The change is that I become very proactive. I was not a very proactive person. I'm always reactive, okay? But now I become very proactive to help those who are diagnosed with cancer and who need help, even though I don't know the person, because now I will get many calls from sisters saying, Ida, you got the experience. Can you help someone? But I don't know them. But I am I take very quick action to visit them and then share with all those treatment experience. And then I will go through with them all the treatment period to let them know what will happen and prepare them and also let them know I am here. If you need any help, I can come immediately. You are my first priority. So that changed my life a lot. So I still work, but the loading is quite low. I spend most of my time to take care of those sisters who need help, who need a company. And I think for cancer patient, there is a problem that normally their caregiver don't know why they are so emotional, even for very little thing. And even they try to explain, but people around them cannot understand. Say, oh, just a small thing. Why you cry? But I can understand. You just cannot control. So I become a very good listener to ensure them they can be understood. I think that's enough for most of the cancer patients.
That's such a picture of Jesus. He's always there for us, always listening. He knows what we've gone through because he's come and experienced it himself. That's really inspiring to hear your story, Ida. Thank you. Thank you for that. And I'm sure there are many, many women who've been very blessed by you.
Thank you. I appreciate that I have a very good example, Jesus. Okay, so I'm learning how to do better and let people know that the Lord we believe is a true Lord.
Yes.
Yeah, I think why don't we sort of close with that verse that Ida just shared with us, 2 Corinthians, I think, 2 Corinthians, first chapter, the first from kind of verse 3. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies and God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our affliction, so that we may be able to comfort those who are in any affliction with comfort with which we ourselves are comforted by God. I think that's a wonderful picture that you just sort of painted for us through your experience and share your experience, Ida, that you yourself went through that hardship, but through the means of grace and fellowship and your knowledge of the Lord and that growth in the knowledge of the Lord, you are comforted, and by God's grace, you recover from cancer. And then now you're extending the grace that you've received to other people, and your hardship is turned into this beautiful testimony and comfort to the rest of us. And so for all of our listeners, if you're going through either cancer or any other form of suffering, just remember that we do have a Father who's full of mercies and a God of all comfort. And we hope that this will be a very comforting and encouraging episode for you as well.
Thank you so much for coming on, Ida.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning into the Overtones podcast today. Make sure to subscribe and tune in to the next episode on your streaming platform of choice.
Follow us and share our podcast with your friends on Facebook and Instagram. You can find us on both platforms as Overtones Think Tank.
And if you'd like to get in touch with feedback, comments, or other ideas, our email address is podcast@overtonesproject.com. See you next week.